Hello, welcome. Today I'll be doing an arm and shoulder massage for the lovely Michelle. Let's go ahead and get started. So when I am doing a more focused shoulder and arm massage, I really like to start with just some compressions, some compressive holds on the upper trap. And this can help the upper back relax a little bit. And it's grounding as well for Michelle, for your client. Not doing anything fancy here, just starting with something a little more still. And you can even bring some compressive holds on top of the scapula and just say hello to that bigger rotator cuff muscle, that infraspinatus. And right now, I'm kind of giving Michelle a roadmap of the main areas we're going to work on today. I find that when my client knows what's coming, they're able to relax in a deeper way. And I'm actually going to bring these compressive holds all the way down the arm, especially into these triceps. If you're working on someone that's fairly toned, you want to just gradually increase your pressure when you're doing these compressive type holds, because it's easier to slide off the arm, the muscle. And just pressing on these flexor muscles. You can even press on the hands. There's something really nice about that. And on the way up, I might just squeeze. Just finding techniques that make my flow more flowy. And I'm gonna land on this area. I'm going to do a pincer grasp this is more for the shoulders than anything. And just encouraging the levator scapula to relax. Making sure that I'm right on the muscle belly as I squeeze. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my oil. With upper back and arms, I would typically do, something for the whole back before, but I think I'm just going to stop short of the low back, and we're going to include the lats, but really focus on the upper back and arms. So just kind of making a plan at this stage of the massage. So I want to go about things in an organized way. So just thinking how, Michelle can get the most out of this massage. And I've said before, people pay really good money for massage. And, my goal is for everyone to leave feeling like, that was money well spent. And a big part of that is addressing any concerns, like specific needs, before the massage, so that you can kind of have a plan going into it. Right now, it might look like I'm just doing a thoughtless effleurage stroke, but I'm really focusing on the upper traps as they narrow into the neck, and just encouraging a soft release in there. think I'm gonna grab some oil and put some oil on the arm so that I don't have to think about that. We move on. And just making sure if you get more oil than you planned on, it's good to cup your hands and just kind of gradually apply that oil. Kind of got a little too much oil on the top of Michelle's shoulder, so just ever so gracefully kind of moving that oil around. So you can go about this massage, you can do the arms first, you can do kind of the shoulder area first. I am gonna do kind of a in between of those. So I'm gonna go ahead and focus in on these upper traps and then kind of move to the arms and finish with the rotator cuff muscles. You know, making the most of people's time and money isn't about like moving more quickly or working harder. It's really just about honoring your client's needs and what they've communicated to the best of your ability. This is just a great position to be in when you're getting ready to move to the side of the table. And it kind of gets Michelle used to the sensation of me working with my forearms and my elbows in a way that's not painful or intimidating. I'm just working on these rhomboids. And just ever so slowly kind of working my way into the upper traps eventually. So I don't want to just, plop over to the upper traps. I'm still on these rhomboids, working pretty close towards the spine, and I'm just going to start working my way towards that shoulder blade. And I'm going to land on that upper trap. There's little tweaks that you can make in your massage to make it feel a lot more cohesive and smooth. And moving into a more medium type pressure and just gradually kind of doing some stronger compressive holds on the trigger points that I find in here. This is my favorite position to work on the upper traps with, like the position of the arm and everything. You can also open up the scapula by resting the arm on the lower back, but for some reason I just really like working this way. And often, more technical techniques are going to feel amazing, and so are the more basic ones. Sometimes more so. It just depends. So just being careful to budget my time. And I'm going to start working my way down the arm. So I'm probably going to need to grab more oil, but I'm going to start by working on this deltoid. And I might need to just open up that arm a little bit more. This takes some pressure off of the shoulder joint as well, which is really good. As much as possible, I try to avoid using my thumb unless it's really worth it. And I feel like the deltoid, it's a place that it's absolutely worth it. So usually when I'm doing a more focused arm massage, I'll be moving the arm around a fair amount. Now, don't feel like you have to just leave it in the position that it is to start with. So I'm gonna just work on the biceps, and this is a great position to just get fairly good access with Michelle face down. And this is also a good place to get more oil if I need it, which I probably should get a little more. And some days just the oil comes out really fast. I get too much, but that's okay. Sometimes a little trick, I'll just put the excess oil in my forearms. And even in a simple, moment like this of putting on the oil, I try to just let it be a moment of relaxation for Michelle. So not just mechanically putting on the oil, but really having it be a part of the massage. So you can move the arm however you like to access the muscle area that you need to. You can even bring the arm above if you want to work the deltoid from that angle. You can even get into the shoulder joint a little bit. Just doing compressive circles is really good for this area. And just make sure if the arm is in this position that it's stable, so you might have to hold onto the arm. And this is a good angle as well for the triceps. I like to do some work on the deltoid before attempting anything deeper towards the biceps and the bicep tendon. So we're in perfect position here to work on the bicep tendon. So it's like perfect level being exposed, the arm is supported. Just doing some active release in here to really bring some space into this area, open it up. So the most challenging part about this massage is that I'm, in a position where I'm just using my thumb so much. So it gets pretty tired. I could certainly use like my knuckle, but it just isn't the same as the thumb. And as much as you need to, you can just give yourself some breaks. You can use that opposite hand. Do some compressive circles along the triceps. And even doing this, I'm holding Michelle's wrist to make sure her arm is stable. From here, I'm gonna start thinking of how I'd like to work on the forearm. Sometimes if I'm working on a bigger framed person, a bigger person in general, I will actually just rest the hand on my leg, and just to make sure that they're comfortable with that before. But what this does is I'm not lifting the forearm. It's a lot easier on me, and the arm is stable. So being supported by my leg. So the last thing you want is for someone to be like holding their muscles in a certain position. I want them to be pretty relaxed. I'm just working with my opposite thumb to give my right thumb a break. And even here, I am holding Michelle's hand to make sure that she is stable and that her hand isn't going to slide off my leg. So you just kind of have to communicate with your client, and usually I won't do this technique if I'm working on someone that is brand new to massage. I just try to keep it really basic. Working on these flexor muscles, just squeezing the forearm. And you can also, once you start working on these flexor muscles, you can rest the arm and just squeeze with both hands, which is a lot easier always when you're working with two hands. So when you bring the arm on top of the table, make sure that this elbow is at least slightly bent. You want the arm to feel nice and comfortable. At this point, you can, if you feel like you need to do more work in these flexor muscles, you can actually use your elbow or your thumb. But I'm gonna go ahead and start kind of wrapping up this massage. So when you're doing these alternate thumb patterns, you want to be working towards the fingers. You want a nice flow. You can go fast, you can go slow. You can decide if you want to do each finger or not. I like to do at least one round through the fingers because this is really good for the joints. One of my favorite things to do when I'm ending an arm massage is to use both of my hands and just pull the fingers. Those are really nice. Do this a few times. So now that we have done that work on the arm, I'm going to focus on this infraspinatus. And just for time's sake, I think I'm going to really kind of leave the teres minor and major till next time. Always when I'm working on the infraspinatus, I like for the arm to be in this position. It puts the infraspinatus at a nice neutral level of tautness, which is what I want. If you wanted the maximum level, you can bring that arm all the way to the top of the table. I find the most difficult position to work on this muscle from is when the arm is by the hips. So right now I am just saying hello and gradually starting to get more familiar with any trigger points in here that need more attention. Because this muscle isn't used to being worked on much, it can be caught off guard. I find that it just takes a little bit of time to really be able to work on this muscle in a helpful way. It's not uncommon to feel like you're sliding off of that muscle fiber. Just like be patient, and I would say slow down. I would check the amount of oil too that's on the shoulder. And there are little tricks, like if you find that there is too much oil, that can really affect your ability to give good deep tissue. So you can just like wipe some of that oil and like, you know, let it be a part of the massage. You can do a couple strokes down for the lats and just drag some of that oil down, because it really does make a difference. You can always, if you're picking up on a significant amount of tension too, you can explore applying more pressure at an angle instead of straight down. I'm gonna go ahead and move the arm so that both arms are in the same position to finish. If you are short on time, don't feel like you have to do a whole lot for kind of a wind down, but just let it be mindful and relaxing. I like to do just really broad, relaxed strokes to finish. And I like to include that upper trap. And that is all for today. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's video, you should check out our Patreon page where you'll find some really great exclusive content. I look forward to seeing you there.